house. Havul Adonai kibod shemo sehu mincha uvahol chatzrotav Shachavul Adonai b'hadrat kodesh chilu mipanav kol haaretz imru v'goyim Adonai malach avtikon tevel b'aldimot yadin amim b'meisharim yismechu hashamayim b'tagel haaretz o yiram hayam Humalo Yalo Sadai Bechol Asher Bo As Yiraninu Kol Atzeyar Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishbot HaHaretz Yishbot Tevel V'Tzedek Ve'amim Ve'unatay Oh hi Page 17 or 51. Adonai Malach Tagel Haaretz Yivchei Merabim Adam Family. Oh no. Shama Vatismach Tzion Vatagelna V'non Yehuda Leman Mishpatecha Adonai Ki Ata Adonai Helyon Halakol Haaretz Mi'anolei Tal Kol Elohim Ohavei Adonai Sinura Shomer Nafshol Chasidav Me'arajayim Yatzilem Or Zaru Ala Tzadik Holy Israel Simcha Simchu Tzadikim Adonai Ve'odu Lezecher Kodsho Page 18 Mizmor Shiru L'Adonai Shir Chadash Ki Niflaot Asa Hoshia Lo Yemino Huzaro Akodsho Hodia Adonai Yeshuato Ve'henei Hagoyim Gilatzin Kato Zachar Chasno Me'emunato Levei Yisroel Rahu Kol Afsei Haaretz Et Yeshuot Eloheinu Hariyu L'Adonai Kol Haaretz Bizku B'ranenu Be'zameru Zamru L'Adonai Bechinor Bechinor Mekol Zimra B'cha chatzos roho v'kol shofar hariyu lifnei hamelech Adonai Yiram hayamum laho tevel v'yoshrei ba v'haroyim chauchaf yachad harim yiranenu lifnei Adonai kiva lishbot haaretz yishbot tevel b'tzedek v'hamim b'meisharim yamnai da da ya 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 yamnai da da ya 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 yamnai da da ya 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 yamnai da da ya 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 Page 19 or 53, Adonai Malach, Yegazu Amim, Yoshib. Moshe ve'Aaron ve'Kohanov Ushmuel ve'Korei Shemo Korim el Adonai ve'hu Yahanem B'amor Anan Yedaber Alehem Shamiru Edotav V'chog Natan Lamo Adonai Eloheinu Ata Hanitam El Nosei Ha'ita Lahem V'nogem Al Alilotam Romimu Adonai Eloheinu V'ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Mizmor LeDavid Havul Adonai B'Elim Havul Adonai Kavod V'Hoz Havul Adonai Kevod Shemo Yishtachavul Adonai V'Hadrat Kodesh Kol Adonai Alamayim El HaKavod Hirim Adonai Almayim Rabim Kol Adonai Ba'koach Kol Adonai Behadar Kol Adonai Shover Arazim Shaber Adonai Et Azei Halvanon Vayarki Dehem Gimo Egel Holel Vanon Vesirion Kemo Venere Emim Ay Kol Adonai Chotzev Lavotesh Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh Kol Adonai Cholel Ayalon Vayechesof Yeharot Uv Heichalo Kulo Omer Kavod Ay Adonai Lahamamul Yashava Yishev Ladonai Melech Leolam Hey Adonai Oz Leahamo Yitein Adonai Yivarech Lambo Vashalem Ay 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 bye 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 Hanna bekoach bekoach gedulat yemincha yemincha tatir terura kaberina tamecha sagveinu tareinu nora Hanna bekoach gedulat yemincha tir terura tatir terura kaberina rina tamecha sagveinu tareinu nora yay 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 baba hoy yay 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 ay 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 page 21 or 56 Ay 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 likrat kala ay 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 bene Shabbat ne kabela shamur v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmiyanu Hashem Tiferet V'Letehi Lalecha Dodi Hay 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 Likrat Gala Hay 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Shabbat lechoven el chakihi mekor ha-beracha meirosh mikedem lehesuch hasoh b'machse b'machshavatechi lalecha dodi hay 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 likrat Kala hay 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela Migdash melech ir melucha kumiyatzehi mitoch ha'hafech harav lach shevel yemekabach Yachamol halayichem lalecha Dodi hay 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 ligrad gala ligrad gala penei Shabbat nekabela Hilare me'afarko Tifartecha mi al yad v'nisha Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi hay 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 le krat kala be ene Shabbat ne Kabbalat ay 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 lo te boshi belo ti kalmi mati shochachi umatemi bach yechesu anye ami v'nibne ta'ira tila lecha dori ay 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 li krat kala ay 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 pe ne Shabbat ne Kabbalat habe hayulim shisa shosayich v'rachaku kol be balayich yasis alayich Elohayich imsos chatan al kalai lecha dodi hay ay 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 li krat kala hay ay ay pe ne Shabbat ne Kabbalat yaminu smolti varoti v'yet Adonai ta'aritzi al yarish ben parti v'nismecha v'nagil alecha dodi hay ay ay li krat kala hay ay ay pe ne Shabbat ne Kabbalat boi v'shalom teret bala gam b'simcha ub'tzahala tochemunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi ay 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 li krat kala ay 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 pene Shabbat ne Kabbalat ay 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 bay ay 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 one more time, go on. Ay 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 Oh, hi. Hi. Whew. You're supposed to be out of breath afterwards. Page 23 or 59. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. Tzadikatam ahar yivrach kerez balvanon yizgeshetulim beveit Adonai v'chatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenu Seva Nishenim Verananim Yehulehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Suri Velo Avlatabo Adonai Malach Yeur Lavesh Lavesh Adonai Ozit Azar Edo Tachanemnu Me'ol Levechana B'Kodesh Adonai Leorech Yamim. This week we observe the Yartzeiton of Michael Rossman, brother of Robert Rossman, and also Lena Krauss, Nathan Lax, and Bessie Berger, who are memorialized on our board. May their memories and the memories of all those whom we recall be blessings. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 24 or 62. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. B'gala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. A good Shabbos. It's so wonderful to see so many of you here. I am going to speak very, very, very briefly and just say it is so wonderful and I am so proud of this community for all that we are doing around welcoming and helping refugees, of which there are more than 24 million worldwide. This is by far, as you guys probably know, the largest Kabbalat Shabbat group we've had since I've been at the PJC. Not the largest in history, I'm sure, and we can get even bigger. But the fact that there are so many people out here tonight just confirms for me what you know I have long said, at least at many more than once since I've been, in the short time that I've been your rabbi, which is that there are so many worthy causes to get involved with. But I believe with a full heart that welcoming the stranger and rising to this profound and sacred challenge is among the single most authentically Jewish causes that there is. We're going to jump over for Purim for a second and talk about Pesach. In a few short weeks, we're going to say Arami Oved Avi, which is this amazing line in the Haggadah, which can be translated in a few different ways. One of the ways it can be translated is, my father was a refugee Aramean. My father was a refugee Aramean. And as Jews, right, we are told 36 times in the Torah, some version of welcome the stranger, for you were a stranger in the land of Egypt. It's not just that they were strangers in the land of Egypt. We know as Jewish people deeply what it means to be strangers, what it means to be unwelcome in many of the different places that we've been in. Our job is to make sure people who are in that situation are not strangers, but are neighbors and are friends. That's what it means. That's what it means to be a follower of Abraham. That's what it means to say Arami Oved Avi. And so it is my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome our guest tonight, Farhad Kurami, who fled Afghanistan in August of 2021. It's wonderful to have you with us, Farhad, and thank you so much for sharing your story not only with us, but with everybody else who you've been talking to since you've been here. Thank you for elevating this issue and bringing it to our attention. Farhad fled Afghanistan only 1 month after getting married to his wife Farzana, who obtained a special immigrant visa after working for the U.S. Agency for International Aid. The couple spent 4 months at Fort McCoy before arriving in Rochester, New York, to start their life over again here in America. In Afghanistan, Farhad had been working at NGOs, including Save the Children and Doctors Without Borders. He and his wife brought nothing out of this country, no shoes, no coats. They literally ran for their lives, and we are so glad they found safety, and we are honored to welcome Farhad as our guest. So I'll turn it over. Thank you so much for coming.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom. It's great to be here. I really feel wonderful to be among these great people. Since I've been to United States, since I've been in Rochester, I was speaking with Burr, and always I like the majority of the people which I received welcome, I received help, I received good memories, and they welcomed that with good heart, was Jewish people. And that's something which I would be always thankful for all the Jewish community. And that's something which I would never forget, and I hope that one day I would be able to repay this goodness which I will receive from Jewish people. And that's the only promise I can give you, is that I would be able to repay this goodness to other people, to other generation. And I hope that no one would have to leave their home, their country, because of war. I pray that no one have to, would be in the situation to leave their home with having no chance to saying goodbye to their loved people, with having no chance to pack and get the basic things which they want. And it's a different feeling when you leave your home. It's a different feeling. Like what I experienced with my wife was, we were newly married. We had a new house. We were planning for something for years, and in a minute, we had to leave everything. And as Rabbi said, and we just left the country with the loved one, the people, with the clothes which we were wearing, and we were not sure where are we going. Also, it's very difficult. And about Afghanistan, I want to tell you that you might have heard in the news. I mean, recently what you're hearing is about Ukraine. You might not hear about Afghanistan. The conflict was there for more than 40 years. From the time which I was born in '94, which was the aftermath of Soviet invasion and the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and there was a civil war in Afghanistan. And from the first memories and what I've experienced in my life was war. The city which I was living was Mazar Sharif in North Afghanistan. It was handed to one and another group day by day. So one day you would see that X group is ruling the city, the next day you would see that Y group is ruling the city. We were stuck between the warlords in our country. And then the Taliban came in. And I remember as a child, it was very difficult for me to witness the Taliban. In the 90s, they were more brutal than what they are now. And I remember my dad was not with us, and I remember my mom was dependent on me to go in the market and buy what we need to make for dinner. I was a 5-year-old kid, and my mom had to take me outside and wearing burqa, because based on the Taliban rule, a woman were not allowed to go outside if there was not a male person accompanying him. And there was not my dad, my mom's brother was not with her. So the only male which she could take was me. And I won't forget those dark moments which my mom was under burqa, and the Taliban would come with flogging woman. And I had to hide between her burqa, and she wanted me the Taliban to see me that my son is with me, but I was so afraid that I was hugging her and was hiding under her burqa. So, and all those things were past. And I remember that it was me and my sister, and we had no chance of. I was going to religious school under the Taliban's control, but my sister was at home because my mom was a graduate of Kabbalat University, and she was open-minded. She wanted my sister to study as well, and we did not know how long the Taliban would be in the country. Me and my sister, we were going and studying in someone's home, and we were emphasized, and they were telling us every time that make sure no one knows that you're going with your sister to your neighbor's house and you're studying there. And the reason I'm telling this is just to let you know that all what we are facing now in Afghanistan is not what happened in 15th August when the Taliban back to power, or to 31st of August where the US left Afghanistan. This was a war, unfortunately, a divided country, a civil war for years, for decades. It started with the invasion by the Soviet Union, but the Soviets left and the conflicts remained there in Afghanistan. I remember when 9/11 happened, I was a kid and we didn't have TV, there was no electricity. It was banned to listen to BBC radio, which was the only operational radio in Afghanistan. But I remember that as a kid, I would feel that people in my community, the society, were happy that something is going to change in your life. And that's because the Americans would have an intervention in Afghanistan and the Taliban regime would end, and that same thing happened. I remember when the first bombings started in Mazar Sharif, and I as a child was afraid. We were going to the basement of our house, but I had this hope, which I had taken from my parents, from the community, that these bombings would change something in our country. And the same happened. After 9/11, our whole life was changed. I started seeing my sister to go to school with thousands of other women and girls. I started to see a lot of women removing their burqas. I started to seeing people shaving their beard, listening to music. These are all things which is you wouldn't think that you would be in a situation that you would be afraid to listen to music or to shave your beard or to go to school or to work. And the 20 years of our life from 2001 to 2021 was, I would say, the great period of my life, which I've lived in my country. A lot of people like me, because of the US intervention and because of the generosity of the international community, we had the chance to educate, we had the chance to study, we had the chance to learn new languages, we had the chance to go abroad. And just recently, last week, I saw a tweet from an Afghan activist. He was saying that I don't know whether the last 20 years was a dream for me, or what I see now in Afghanistan is a dream, which I don't believe. Because after 9/11, we had a different life. We started to like a lot of news channels, a lot of radios, TVs was established. People started to think freely. For the first time in our history, we were able to criticize the politicians, to speak freely, to say what we want, to practice what we think is good. Before the Taliban, before 9/11 under the Taliban, it was impossible. We had no choice even for our own look, man and woman. We had no choice for what we do. Everything was controlled by the government. Even the 5 times prayer a day was forced. You had to go to mosque, as it is now. So I just wanted to tell you like what happened before, and then all these 20 years. We had a fraud elections, we had a corrupt government, and I was working in that system, in that country. I knew that the government was corrupt. I knew that there was a lot of problem. But on the other hand, I myself and thousands of people like me, we believed that in a democratic foundation, we may fix this. we may make things better, but on the other side you have evil. You have the Taliban, you have the extremists, where they reject the basic rights, where they don't let you to live like what you want. They don't accept or want your basic things. I was in my country till the last day. The danger facing us was not only the Taliban. 1 year, 6 months, 1 year before that, there was a lot of, every day when we woke up, there was an assassination of a normal employee of the government. There was the magnetic bomb. There were the targets. I lost a lot of friends like me, my friends, my colleagues. But what we were thinking is that, yes, the system has a problem, but that is still better than the Taliban. That's better than the dark regime. And I cannot forget that on 15th of August, when was the last day of the democratic government of Afghanistan. I want to share my story if you have time. So
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe five
Five
more
more
minutes.
minutes.
And then some folks are coming back to our house for dinner,
Yeah.
so there's a lot more time to talk.
So, you know, it's not a change of administration or change of power. You're fighting with an ideology, and with your full heart, you're against something. And you see that that ideology is winning. And on 15th of August, we were in Kabul under the siege. All Afghanistan was under the control of the Taliban. And there's a city of 6 million people with immigrants, displaced people who were in Kabul for the last year, and the Taliban in the door of the country. And you have a president who fled the country. And I remember me and my wife, when we were leaving home, my dad was saying, like, where are you going? Is this the day to go to office? And I was saying, like, this is the most difficult day, and I don't want my friends and colleagues to think that I left them in that day. I went to office. However, in the midday, I called my wife and told her to leave and go home, but I stayed there till the night. And the night of 15th August, I feel that we are in a city where the president had fled and most of the officials had fled the country. There's 6 million people, and there's no rule of law. There's no police. There's no one to call if anything can happen in that night. And I was seeing in front of my eyes that the group, the people, the Taliban. I mean, there's a lot of arguments that they differentiate the Taliban from ISIS, but I don't see a difference between ISIS and the Taliban. They are the same people with the same ideology. And that night, it was a moment which I would never forget, that the Taliban was entering the city and I was in that city. My wife was working for USAID for 2 years, and in Afghanistan, it is unacceptable for a woman to work with an American. They don't see it as a development organization which is part of the US government. You're working with American, and security, it's a big thing. And I was afraid that I was working with the NGOs, I was working with the government, and I had publicly criticized the Taliban. I was against this ideology, and that group is taking the control of your city, and all the dreams which you had about the country is went, like it's disappeared and watered down. So, and I left the next day. Taliban was in control. I could see like they were taking one by one all the government off, including the presidential palace. And I had to go and leave my home because that area was not secure, and I went to some relative's house and I was hiding from one to one. And that moment you were in someone's house, and you know that people they love to host you, but the host also, they don't feel comfortable because of you something might happen to them. And I heard that the people called me and they said that the US forces, they are evacuating people in the airport if you can make to the airport. And some of my friends were telling that Taliban has not enough forces in the Kabul city, and they are very excited when they see that you are in charge of Kabul, just a few months ago, they were in the mountains. They barely had food to eat. They had no place to sleep, and now they are entering all these luxurious offices and houses house of the politicians. So if you go now, there's a chance that you might leave the country. And the next week, a lot of things might change. So the first day I went to the airport with my wife, and I see that the Taliban fighters are there, the first, like I would say the first gate, and the other side is the American forces standing there, and the Taliban are fighting, shooting continuously, and they're cursing people, they're hitting people, they're saying that, oh, you're going and seeking refuge from the Americans and all these things. It didn't happen. The next day I went, it didn't happen. The third day, I stood there from the morning till, I don't want to go deep on what happened, but I would say like, I went there 6 in the morning, and I could make inside the airport like at 3:30 in the afternoon. Whole day, no food, no water, it's hot day. And I remember when so there's the gate, and there's thousands of people, and the more you go close to the gate, there's more pressure. Everyone wants to leave the country. And I remember that people are falling. The kids, there's no oxygen for people. No one, like, people came with luggage, and you just put your foot on someone's luggage, and you can't help people who are falling because it's a huge crowd. Even the U.S. Marine they were in tears. They were crying, and the Taliban were hitting people in front of their eyes, and the U.S. soldiers could not do anything because they were not allowed to go beyond. That was the argument. And when they opened the door and I spoke, and the U.S. Marine pulled me inside, I was so frightened. I was so afraid that I could not make my mind to tell them in English that I want water. And they were throwing water on my face, and I couldn't tell 3 words in English, or 2 words. I want water. I was not able to say this. And they were saying me like, do you know English? Do you know English? And I showed them my documents. And then I breathed and I asked for water, and I drank a lot of water, and I was there for days. And my phone went, I remember I called my wife. I said, where are you? I'm inside. She was out, and I cried, and I said, like, I'm inside, I'm with American, I'm safe. So, yeah, and the next day my phone was off for 2 days. I was in the same place. I called so there was a guy, and I asked him, I requested him repeatedly, and then he gave me his phone. I had a small phone. I called my wife, and I found that from a new door, so they were opening new door everywhere because because of the security risk, and because more people would know and they would close the same place. They had made to the airport, and they were boarding the plane. I was very happy. I was so released, and I was thinking that there are burdens on my shoulder, and it's released. And I told her that go and don't wait for me because things might change and the Americans might leave. Don't wait for me. After 4 days, I went to Qatar. The last time when I was boarding the plane, I looked back. My home was near the airport, and I looked my home. I knew that this is a different trip. I knew that I left my car, my clothes, my books, my life. I didn't have a chance to say bye to my loved ones, to my family, to my friends. And I knew that all what I was thinking, people like me who was thinking, who were dreaming about their country is watered down and is lost. And this is your country, and you have no more chance here. And I knew that this trip which I am making is a different trip. You can't understand the feeling of when I was boarding the plane and I saw the American flag, which I took the picture. And there's a cargo plane, like hundreds of people. There's no chair to sit. And because there's a lot of people, I was the last person to board the plane after 5 days of being in the airport, sleeping in the soil, having no food and water. And the U.S. Marine had to push everyone to go forward so more people can fit in the plane. and we fly to Qatar. So, yeah, it's then there in Qatar after like a day I found my wife. We finally made the U.S. Army, people in charge there were very sympathetic, they were very nice, they were very kind, they were very helpful. And my wife was frightened when she saw me. My clothes were torn, I was hurt, my hand was injured, and everyone was asking her, where's Farhat? And when we saw, I was hugging her and she was hugging me and we were crying. I was seeing my wife after 5 days, and just last day I knew that she's in Qatar, and she didn't know where I am for 3 days. And I remember Rabbi said that I came with the clothes. Yes, I had no shoes when I went into the airport because of all this crowd. And I found a sandal somewhere in the second day. In Qatar, a U.S. Army officer came and generously gave me an underwear, which is funny. And I saw my wife came with the same, like she had a bag, but I had nothing. And she just took some of her documents. She gave me a t-shirt, and I took out my clothes, and it was torn and dirty, and I had not taken a shower for 7 days, and I threw it in the dustbin. And I came to America, to the United States, with the clothes which I was, a t-shirt, an underwear, and a sandal. That was it. Really, and I didn't know how I would be going to manage what I'm going to be doing there, where I would be sleeping in the street. But I knew that I'm safe, and I'm with my wife. In the plane, I was so tired and exhausted that I was finally having a seat where I could in the plane, and was flying from Qatar to USA, and I slept for 10 hours. No one would sleep 10 hours in a plane. I slept 10 hours. And yes, we were in US. That was the unforgettable moment which I had with my wife. I took her hand in the Washington Dallas airport, and we were saying that we made it. We left the country. I mean, yes, we left everything, but we are together. And no matter whatever happens, we are together, and we made it to the USA. And from there, they took us to Fort McCoy in Wisconsin. And just I want to tell this story, and I would end it that. So we reached Dallas. From Dallas, they took us in a hangar where they were processing all the immigrants, security checks and all. And I was so tired, and again I said to my wife that I want to sleep. I had this Red Cross blanket, and I slept. And the next day she woke me up and said, "There's a line," and I stayed on the line. Then they did the registration, and they took us in the bus, and the bus went to the airport. And when we were in the airport, someone came and said, "Is there anyone who speaks English?" I said, "Yes, sir, I can help you. You can help me to do the announcement?" I said, "Yes, of course." And while I was boarding the plane, he asked me, "What is your plan in Wisconsin?" And I said, "Are we going to Wisconsin?" I looked at my wife, and she was, "Are we going to Wisconsin?" And he said, "Didn't you know?" I said, "No." And all of the plane were full of immigrants, and then I had to announce that, friends, that it's good that we met here. We're going to Wisconsin. There would be a shelter there. And I was happy that on 25th of August, I was in Wisconsin, 10 days after the fall of Kabul, and I was taking shower after 10 days. I had blank. I remember that we had to wash my clothes, and I had nothing to change when I was washing my clothes. But everything was good. Later, we stayed there for 4 months, and I met with great, great, great people, which I would never forget in my whole life. People who helped me. That now at least I have a house. I stay somewhere. I can work. I'm with my wife. We make food whatever we want, and it's very difficult. It is very, very difficult that you have to live your life. You have to live your life. But on the other hand, I was very grateful. I was very grateful that I was in the United States and there were the great people who helped me. Unlike my people who were in Iran, in Pakistan, the countries where we have the same values, where we have the same religion, with the same language, they were not welcomed as we were in the United States. They had very difficult. Most of them were forced to return to Afghanistan. And I'm here, and thanks again. I again feel very pleased and happy to be among you, and thank you all for helping people like me. I was not alone. I am sure there were 120,000 people who were evacuated from Afghanistan by the Department of Defense. And I can tell you for sure that most of them, 90% of them, had no time like us to pack. 90% of them didn't know where are they going. There are people who left their families. In the Kabul airport, before entering the airport, I saw with my own eyes the mothers who were handing their children to the U.S. Army because they were not able to to enter the door, and there was no food and they were dying, and at least they were thinking that the children would survive. And you see now that there are a lot of children which are in the U.S., but no one knows who are their parents. That the last chance as a mom, as a mother, you're staying in, as Reagan would say, this iron curtain. This side is the Taliban, and the other side is the American. You can't make to the other side, but they were handing their children, newborn babies, to the U.S. Marine. They believe that that's safer to give them. And I know people who are separated, the families who are separated. But thanks to you and thanks to great people in this country, we were welcomed and we received great help. Thank you.
We'll continue with a quick mariv, which is on page 64 or 28. Please rise.
Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Va'ed. Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzva'ot shemo, El Chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari v'aravim, Avat olam bet Yisrael amchayim. Yem chayenu v'yorech yameinu, v'hem negeh yomam v'layla, Yavatcha al tesir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Nedar bakodes, norad hilot, o sefele, malchutecha, rohuvanecha, ukeayam lifnei Moshe. Zeli, Zeli, anu ve'ameru, Adonai, Yimloch, Le'olam va'ed, Yadadai, 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 ונאמר כי ודלנה את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל אשכיבנו אדוני אלוהים לשלום ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם איי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל לא לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נחש יתקדש שם רבה ויעלם דברה כרצי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דרכו בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב והימרו יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה והימרו continue to finish your Amidah. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech hador lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech hador lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Le'olam. Page 47.
Vayichu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivaham. Vayichal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. Vayishpot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto ki bo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai
Shmo.
Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Kol Shamayim va'aretz, Magen Avot v'dvaro, Mechaye Metim b'mamaro, Ha'el HaKadosh she'en kamohu, Ha'meniach le'amo b'yom Shabbat kodsho, Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem, Lefanav navod b'yira v'pachad, v'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid, me'en ha'berachot. El ha'hoda'ot hadoshon hashalom, mikadesh hashabat, u'barech shvi, u'meniach b'kedusha, le'amedu shnei oneg, zecher l'maaseh v'reshit. Eloheinu v'Elevotenu, ritzei menachatenu, v'asher mitzvotecha. V'kadesh hashabat. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabah.
Amen.
B'yamadi v'rakirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yamachon v'chayedechol beit Yisrael v'agalat uzman kari v'imeru.
Amen.
Yesh mei Rabba mevorach le'olam olam ve'omayam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudeshah. B'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imeru.
Amen.
Digabal solahon avahon d'kol Yisrael kol amavahon v'yishmaya v'imru.
Amen.
Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen. Kiddush. Go for it. Amen. זכר לציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת, כי כל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Amen. Aleinu is page 51. L'shabeach ladon hakol latei kidula. Breshit shelo asanu kegoye haratzon velo samanu b'mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. על כן נקווה לך כי המלכות שלך היא מאוד
כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר,
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו,
Kaddish. Yitgadal, v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divara kiruteh, ve'amlich malchuteh. V'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'vchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Va'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru.
Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו
אמן
יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו
אמן
עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמרו
Amen. Shekoach. Good Shabbos again. Once again, thank you to Farhad for coming and sharing your story with us, which is inspiring and beautifully told. Thank you. It's wonderful to have you. Thank you, of course, to WJCI, the Westchester Jewish Coalition on Immigration, for helping us organize this and for making this match. And also, of course, to Highest. Refugee Shabbat is a national initiative that pretty much every synagogue I know of in Westchester is participating, and almost throughout the country, and so it's wonderful to be a part of that. Before I invite up Dr. David Haft to make some quick announcements, a couple of things. First, for folks who there's very little I would like to do more than have dinner now with all of you. But unfortunately, there isn't quite enough food probably at my house. So if you did RSVP, come back to our house pretty quickly. We'll eat. We'll start eating pretty quickly because people are probably hungry, and we'll have a chance to talk more and schmooze and do a little question and answer with Farhad, but mostly just have a nice night together. But luckily, I do get an opportunity to eat dinner with all of you because next week on Friday night, the Haft Schachters are sponsoring our first Friday back since the pandemic. We already have a lot of RSVPs, but we can fit as many in here as we can. So please do consider coming back for that. Before I invite up our president, I want to invite up Michael Dvorkin and Maria and Adam Apeshouse, the chairs of our refugee committee, to share some of what we're doing. And I want to reiterate again that it, of course, takes a village, and we're partnering with lots of different churches in Pelham to do this. But PJC really took a leadership role in this, and I'm not sure. So we're helping sponsor 2 families who are just resettled in New Rochelle. I don't know that this would have happened had not Michael, as a surprise to me, in a board meeting, I think in December, said, you know what, we've been talking about this, and no one's going to take a leadership role, and I don't necessarily want to do it, but if no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And kol hakavod to Michael for doing that. And it really, I mean, mamash. And thank you to Adam and Maria as well, and to the whole committee for taking this on. And I'll let them share a little bit about the latest.
I don't know that I have much more to add to
Okay.
what the rabbi has said, but we have joined in with Hearts and Homes for Refugees to be to take a leadership role in helping resettle some refugees. And this weekend, there are 2 families, Afghan refugee families, being resettled in New Rochelle with temporary housing. And Adam helped move in, or not move the furniture into one of the apartments today. So we had a meeting a few days ago, and then there was a big push for this weekend turnaround for these 2 apartments, for these families that are going to move in imminently. So that's really just the start of it, and then we are going to remain involved with Hearts and Homes and continue to help out with more refugees who are coming. And welcome to you, Farhad, and thank you so much for speaking. So any more people who would like to be on this committee, who would like to get involved in any way, contact any one of us, and we'd be glad to have you aboard. Do either of you want to say anything?
Just to give you an idea, so there's 2 refugee families. Monroe College has donated space for them to live for this first year. Finding housing is, I think, often one of the most difficult thing. Monroe College did that. The 2 places are actually just a block away from each other. So the immediate need is they're coming on Sunday. They're moving in on Sunday. They already, Hearts and Homes already has, I guess, people to greet them and meet them at the airport. They don't need more people for that because they don't like to overwhelm. It's already overwhelming, you know. But there is an immediate need getting the places ready. So if you'd like to volunteer tomorrow, I know it's Shabbat and everything, but the address is 1414 Franklin. From 10 o'clock in the morning on tomorrow, you can go to 14 Franklin in New Rochelle, and that's one of the houses, and if they need help at the other house, it's only a block away. So that's the immediate need, but over the next months and maybe year, there's lots of other stuff to do. Medical. Right, navigating the medical, getting the kids to school, enrolling in ESL, finding employment, lots of stuff. There's going to be lots of stuff. So contact one or more of us if you'd like to volunteer in any capacity at all, and there will be opportunities to do that.
Michael, what are they doing help with this weekend?
I think it's like cleaning, arranging furniture.
The cleaning's pretty much done, and they are, Melissa has everything pretty well organized for this weekend, and they really want to be careful about not overwhelming the family. So it would be best to contact Melissa from Hearts and Homes, because she's running point for this particular weekend, but there's a lot of possibilities for engagement between the PJC and Hearts and Homes for refugees. But right now, I think they're kind of taking the lead on it.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, we moved a lot of furniture today, and she has a whole group of people that are scheduled to move furniture tomorrow. So.
Okay, so maybe tomorrow's taken care of. In that case, I'll see you here tomorrow morning.
Yes. You want to do announcements or quick? Maybe a condensed announcements. It's not possible, okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbos.
It's always good to see some faces. Some faces have finally emerged, really nice. As you all know, we've done away with the masking requirement. As you get more confident, you can come without the masks. But if you want to wear masks, please feel free. It's fine. Tomorrow we have a Kiddush sponsor. Oh, before I go on, Farhad, I want to thank you for coming and sharing your story. There is really Nothing worse than having to leave your home and go to a strange place, and I'm very happy to hear that you've been treated nicely. I think that speaks well about our culture, and I'm very happy to have you as a fellow American. So welcome. So anyhow, quickly going on, Kiddush sponsors, we have Adam and Melissa Kagan sponsoring tomorrow's Kiddush. It's in honor of Melissa's birthday. I don't know didn't say how old she is, but she's old enough to sponsor. We have adult education coming back into full activity. There's Tuesday evening at 7:30, the rabbi's class on King David, who turns out to be a warlord. And also the Torah portion for adult education with Lori Weber. And that'll be Wednesday. It's a mini course, lunch, learn, and hug on the basic letters, the Shorish. And this is, you can join via Zoom. It'll start on the 9th from noon to 1 p.m. If you haven't heard already, we're having almost the first Friday, this coming Friday. There's a Shabbat dinner that Jacqueline and I are sponsoring. Please make us poor. Come.
RSVP and come.
Yes, that too. So that we know you're coming and can plan on it. And this will be, now that we're sort of coming out of COVID, we really want to get things started and moving again and get the community together, which hasn't happened in almost 2 years. It's really been terrible. We have Purim coming, and next Sunday on March 13th from 10 to 12, we have our regular Purim. That's a Sunday. So come on, wear your costumes. You're going to get a prize if you're really good. We have a soup kitchen coming in Thursday, March 17th. Contact Joe Goldenberg or Barry Goldenberg about that. They want meatballs or meat sauce and boxes of pasta and cake to provide. We also have our spring play with the PJC players. They're performing on Sunday, the 20th of March. It's really a busy month. At 3 p.m., and you can make reservations. The tickets are very expensive. They're free. So, reach in your pocket. And the play is the Producers by, actually, I remember it more by the writer of it, Mel Brooks, than the name of the play. And then we have our March book group. That'll be March 27th at 11 a.m. Via Zoom. We're discussing a book called America's Jewish Women, A History from Colonial Times by an author, Pamela S. Nardell. And if you need more information, contact Barbara Adams. Now, is there anything anyone else wants to announce to the congregation? Great. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful dinner.
Shekoah. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach nimtza ve'enei el mitziyuto echad ve'yachid v'yechudo. Yes, it is. Ogo flo na'arok elav kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra rishon vein reshit le'reshito hino adon olam v'chol dotzar yoreg gdulato malchuto serfan nevuato netano el anshe segulato v'tifato lo kam b'Yisrael k'Moshe hod navi u'mahabid et emunato so fevio deas et areinu Yisrael v'yom mirdato leolamim lezulato so fevio deas